I know I'm live. Oh, baby. Oh, let's get me self sorted and say hello to myself. Bye gum. Bye jibbity jibbity. Oh look, there I am. Nice and clean. Yep. You see that? Nice and clean there. Lovely jubbly. Rocky, come on. You do this every time. You're a pain in the ass. Come on. Get there. Good boy. Woof. Right. How many does it say I'm watching now? Just the one. Just the one. Come on, peeps. Where are they? Oh, don't you start, you miserable little turd.
This is Todd. Hi. This is Todd's mom.
Adverts, bloody adverts.
In a moment, Todd's mom will read her son's internet browsing history.
Just the one. Yep, there we go. Come on, peeps. See what you... Where are they? Oh, don't you start, you miserable little turd. Bloody cat.
This is Todd. Hi. This is Todd's mom.
Adverts, bloody adverts.
In a moment, Todd's mom will read her son's internet browsing history.
Yep, there we go. 3 watching. Hello. Let's get a few more peeps in. It's only 7 o'clock. Let's get a few more in. I know it was late. I was late posting. Oh, he's buggered off. I know I was late. Whatchamacallit thingamajig. Can't remember. 3 watching. Hello. Let's mute myself. 1 watching now. 2 watching now. Come on. Because I've got a good one set up. I've got a good debate set up. Flipping cat. Come on, you buggerlugs. Pain in the backside. No, come on. Can't have you tickling me. Good lad. Good lad. Anyway, let's start anyway. Oh, I've got me things, got my hashtags going on. Fan bloody dabby dozy. Lovely jubbly. Right. This is one of my favourite debates of all time. Is Aron, well, a discussion. More like a discussion, really. Aron, hello, 4 people watching. Hello. This is one of my favourite debates, and it's about this. Sorry, it's more of a discussion than a debate, because nobody's bringing any evidence to the table. They're just giving their opinions, if you will. Yeah, good. If there's 5 watching, say hello in the chat. Why not? Be goody gumdrops. Yeah, because there's nobody saying hello. Right, so let's crack on with it, and we'll see what occurs. Let me press play. Let me know if you can't hear it, please.
Bingo.
That would be amazing.
Bingo. And so, yeah, stick with us for the next 4 nights at 8 o'clock, and we'll have something for you guys. But other than that, I'm going to turn it over to Steve to introduce the topic, and then let the guys introduce themselves.
Yeah, these guys actually need no introduction. We've had them on a few times. Aron's been on a couple times. Jeranism's been on a couple times. However, if you don't know who they are, we're going to allow them to briefly give a brief description about themselves and what their take is on the whole battlefield flat Earth controversy, which I use the term loosely. But Jeranism, welcome back.
Yes,
First of
there's
all.
no controversy. The Earth's a globe, and it's as simple as that. I mean, there's no There's no debate. There's nothing. It's the Earth is a globe, and it's yes. This is from, by the way, the non sequitur show. I think a few years ago now. I think 2 or 3 years ago now. I can't remember. Yes, I used to watch the non sequitur show quite a bit, and I used to like it quite a lot. I don't like it so much now. I did watch the Cindy Lincoln interview that they did, I think a couple of days ago now. I had to fast forward the bits with Cheshire Vic speaking because she's irksome. She irks me. I don't like her. I don't know why. Just just one of them things really. But anyway, let's crack on.
And if you want to kind of explain to the audience who you are and your position on this, and then we'll just go to Aron and take it from there.
All right. Well, thank you for having me again. Hello, Aron. So I'm Jeranism. My channel is Jeranism. Everybody knows that. Hated by many, despised by more. I think that I'm due a Nobel Prize though soon because I'm
by everybody.
One person who is bringing science and religion together in their hate for me. So. And what I say, because my beliefs are my own. I believe what I do based on my own research. I used to believe in religion that I was raised under, and then I was able, despite that difficulty, to break from religion, and I became an atheist and a believer and backer of science. And so I wanted to be someone that was going to help other people find their way out of religious belief. But as I researched and studied more of the science, I started seeing signs that science followers were following a religion. And as the year or two after that, continuous research revealed that men are liars, and to trust them is futile. Is it's the worst thing you can do. And I know Eddie Bravo,
Jin XYU, is that better?
The other night said something that I think describes my position to a T. He said he would rather be considered and called an idiot and a moron for not trusting liars than to be a traitor for defending them. And that's absolutely my position. And so as far as the flat Earth debate goes, clearly I have an issue with the heliocentric model. I do think it is a gigantic lie that has been told for I don't know how many years, maybe 500, 400, and that people have fallen for it due to indoctrination, due to education. And so, I'm trying to get that out there, and I just wish that people could all get along and see that other people do have different opinions. And so it's okay to look into things without just calling others names. And that's basically most of the defending I get of the heliocentric model is just to be called a moron and I'm idiotic. And that's fine. That just doesn't do much for their position, as it just is kind of more fuel to the fire. But that's basically me.
All right. Awesome. Okay. Aron, how about you want to give one or two?
Well, you get called an idiot and a moron because you completely misrepresent absolutely everything. You don't understand a single jot about the globe at all.
2 minutes to tell people about yourself and your position on this.
Okay, well, I don't need that much time, I don't think, but my name is Aron Ra. I'm Southwest Regional Director of American Atheists, Director of the Phylogeny Explorer Project, author of Foundational Falsehoods of Creationism, producer of Living Science Lessons Biology videos. And if you like what I do, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/ARONRA. I've done a lot of travel. And so if it were ever possible for me to have believed in a flat Earth, it would not be possible now. Not now that I've been to so much of it. And so we're going to be talking to Jeranism about how he came to this conclusion and how he managed to overlook everything I've seen so far.
Okay, short and to the point. So, Jeranism, why don't you start us off? I think that if maybe you want to provide Aron with some of your leading arguments for your position that you believe that the Earth is flat, and then maybe he can kind of address them point by point.
Sure. Well, I guess I would start off with a quote by George Ellis, who's I'm sure you know who he is, mainstream physicist, probably top 10 in the world. I don't know, somewhere around there. And
never heard of him.
Never heard of George Ellis?
Yes, okay, go ahead.
He said that he's talking about he can construct a spherically symmetrical universe with the Earth at its center, and that through observations it would be impossible to disprove that. And he says what he wants to get out in the open is the fact that a lot of cosmology tries to hide that they're using philosophical ideas to create their models. And he said that's fine by him, but he just feels like he needs to get out that a lot of cosmology tries to hide that. So when you hear that as a backer of science, that a science, cosmology, is trying to hide something from people, shouldn't that be an eye-opening quote to why would there be a scientific enterprise like cosmology that is he said a lot of cosmology tries to hide the fact that their models are based on philosophical criteria. That to me was a big eye-opener.
Yeah, the two ways that I would address that is, one, it's bullshit, and two, he's lying. I mean, it's easy to disprove a model like that is inconsistent with every other model, with everything else we see, obviously is going to be a problem. Now, I've understood, and I've seen this documented by people who are pro-science, that if you can defend almost any one of the arguments for a flat Earth, as long as you isolate it to that one argument and don't observe anything else. But once you begin to observe other things, well, then everything comes apart. I mean, for example, I'm interested in what model you have. What is it that you're embracing so that we can examine what's wrong with it?
Well, I think that to put everything onto me as to what the flat Earth is, how it works, how it all operates, when obviously I haven't had nearly the amount of study.
Have you had enough to convince you that the Earth is flat?
I'd had enough.
And you said,
hello, George. How are you doing, my little friend? Jin, yeah, unfortunately for Jism, opinion should be based on understanding, which is backed by education.
your beliefs are your own, are they not?
They are. I was going to answer.
And you've had a reason enough for you to believe. So tell me what the reason is that you believe in, what the model is that you believe in. And
I
we'll start
believe
from
that
there.
the globe is a complete and total lie, that it does not match observations, that it's completely against every sense that we have. To believe that you can see 25 trillion miles is an insane belief. To think that you're spinning on a ball.
How can you see 25 trillion miles with a human eye? No, you can't. You can see the lights coming from the stars that's billions of years old. That's what you're seeing. See, this is what I can't decide whether Jism is a Paul or he's lying or he's doing it for attention or what have you. I don't know whether he's a genuine flat earther, and I don't know if he's just pissing about, basically.
At a certain speed, flying through space at 66,000 miles per hour around a sun that's 1.3 million times as big as the Earth, that is an insane belief.
So the entire argument is that all of the available data is incredulous, and that's it. You don't have a model?
Sure, I have an idea of what I think the Earth is shaped. I think it's a plane. It's a plane of existence. It's got peaks and valleys, ocean floors, and tall mountains.
So is it an eternal plane?
No, I wouldn't say so. No, I'd say that it ends at a certain point.
So do you have a reason to believe that it is either a finite or eternal plane?
Because water shows me that it doesn't curve. You know, granted, I understand the global mindset that water's pulled to the center, but there's no evidence of that. There's no evidence of things attracting things to the center of anything. There's no evidence.
There's no evidence that water would be level in a finite measurement
on a globe.
On anything, flat Earth, round Earth, the water would be level, right?
Water's level, correct.
Okay, and even on a globe, if we're only going to measure 6 to 8 inches of it, then water's going to be level, right?
Correct.
Okay, and it doesn't matter if you're in an airplane or on a mountain or on any part of the globe, it would still be level that few inches, right?
Sure. Yeah, I guess it would be.
So when you're standing in a position, wherein, and I know you've got to have heard this before, and I'm stunned at how you don't have a counter argument for these, or you don't have a model to establish the counter argument for these.
For what?
When you're standing on a shore and you watch the masts of a ship disappear last, or when you're on a ship and you're approaching the shore and you watch the top of the lighthouse first before you see the base of it, or when you're in a car. And when you're driving along and you see the top of the mountain first, and the mountain rises as you get closer in the globe, and you can see more of the mountain as it rises before. You can see the globe of the Earth just on a road trip. You don't even have to be in an airplane. So how is it that you not see this? How do you account?
I've actually seen a microwave. Sorry. Continue.
I would ask the same question back. How have you not seen the evidence that boats do not go over the curve? That there's
because I have seen the evidence of the boats going over the curve. So I can't see the evidence of the not evidence that I have seen.
So which videos have you seen that show a boat going over the curve?
Not just videos, my own eyes. I was recently on a
Every
road trip,
single one.
across Iceland,
Every
and I was
single
noticing
thing.
because I was going to talk to a flat earther soon, so I just made note in my mind that I've seen this mountain before. As I approach it, I'm an hour away from it or so, and I just watch the tip of it, and we point out, look how much of the mountain we know of is there that we still can't see because it's still under the curve of the earth. And as we drive toward it,
Every single time, every single video, every single thing, whatever, if a boat is sailing away from you, it goes over the curve and it disappears bottom first. Every single time. And if you can zoom into it, then it's not gone over the horizon, has it? Jism.
we see more and more of it. And same thing when I lived in Washington State. Mount Rainier is an enormous volcano, and you can only see the tip of it from Washington, or excuse me, from Seattle. But as you can get closer to the border with Oregon, you see the whole mountain. And
So
it's
do
amazing.
things-
You can drive towards something for so long and just see a little bit more and more of it, but it's always on your horizon, it seems, because
So
it's
do
so
things
enormous.
do things
How do, George? I hope you are well.
get smaller with distance?
Hmm.
Yeah. So something is smaller in the distance than it is when you're close to it.
Except when you can't see the base of it, and you know the base is there, and you've already seen the base because you were there yesterday, and you have to wait then for the curve of the earth to reveal that base.
Yeah, I totally disagree. I don't think that's what
Okay,
you're
so you
seeing.
disagree because you disagree, but you have to have a model that explains the observation. That is the observation. That is the evidence that the earth is a globe. So how do you counter that evidence?
Okay, so I told you if you go look at other evidence, I guess you're looking at the wrong videos to see that
I'm
clearly.
not
we
talking
can
about
see,
videos. I'm talking about my own
Okay,
eyes.
And my own eyes have gone to the beach, and I've looked out at boats that are going out into the distance. And if you zoom into them with your camera, after they've disappeared from your eye, you can bring those back up
you
into
can't.
view. Okay, well, I'm telling you, I've seen it. So
Yeah,
then,
and I'm telling you, you haven't.
okay, well then
You can't do that. Therefore, you haven't done it.
I have done it.
Well, you
So-
haven't done it
Okay,
because you can't do it.
well, and this
But if
is
you
why I
have
challenge.
done it and you could do it, then you'd be able to give a demonstration of that. But what we
And I have.
have in fact seen is the very thing that I've just described to you. When you watch the masts of the ship disappear, you see the ship disappear before the masts do. This is a common observation that's seen for
Yes.
hundreds of years, and I've seen it myself.
So,
Right.
if you spot a ship and it's going away from you, and then it disappears, and then you get a camera or telescope or what have you, and then you zoom in, if that ship carries on going, then it will disappear bottom first. I've seen videos about that. So I don't know what Jism's on about.
And
So where would be the-
you see
where
the
would be the
lighthouse, the
heaviest-
top of the lighthouse first, and then you see the base of it, just like the mountain I taught you. You see the top of the mountain first, then you see the base of it as you get closer. These are the common observations.
Okay, so
How does
atmosphere
your
causes.
model account for those?
Okay, so atmosphere causes distortion in anything, right? So if you've got a variable atmosphere above the water, then that's going to cause distortion in whatever you're looking at. So if you're at the beach and you're looking out at the water, the most amount of this distortion will be right at the level of the
So,
water.
Even when you're not on the water,
So,
when you're driving across
where are you,
Iceland,
Rob?
and there's
No,
no
when
snow
you-
on the ground,
The higher
and you
you
still
get,
can't
the
see the
more.
base of the mountain because of the curvature of the earth. Or when you're crossing Washington State in the springtime, and again, there's no snow on the ground, so there's no distortion, and you know what the base of the mountain looks like, yet you can't see it because it's still below the curve of the earth.
Yeah, so anything in the distance is going to be lower than where you're observing it because you're looking through the most
Because it's a
amount of
curve?
atmosphere. No, well, that's your opinion, but do you think
Well,
that
okay,
things are-
so you're saying that the appearance of a curve is because it's in a distance. So anything that is in a distance is going to disappear below what is actually the curve. So you interpret the curve as being a flatness with a distortion in the atmosphere. So
correct?
Steve, 64. Hi, how you doing, my friend?
okay, so any evidence I give you that you're gonna try to explain away. So what was the reason that made you think that Earth is flat? I mean, how can that even be flat?
Okay, so it
There's
started
got to be a
off.
way for that to happen. With a spherical Earth, we have gravity that explains it. We can see weightless
Very true,
drops of
Steve.
water where they
Very
are
true.
suddenly curved, and when they free fall, they become spheres. Same thing's happening with all the planets around us.
Okay, so,
So-
do these globes of water that you're describing, do they join together and create a larger ball of water, or do they just float freely and
Usually they float freely, but if they collide with each other for whatever reason, if they're somehow crossing paths, then they'll do as planets do and behave as liquids and join together.
But if you were to dump a bunch of Skittles in the ISS, for example, they will just go everywhere. They won't. There's nothing pulling them to any center. There's no attracting force calling them to be a sphere. They just float around, right?
Gravity is a very weak force, so you need to have a substantial body in order to have an appreciable amount of gravity.
So
If you were
weak force that holds trillions of pounds of ocean water to the ground.
Compared to the nuclear.
Yep, all good here, Steve. Thank you very much. Just keeping safe because apparently Eunice is a bit of an hurricane. Is it Eunice? Something like that. Things in the distance illumined by refraction. Yes, they are. 2 cores. Not bad.
Forces, yes, and the electromagnetic force, yes. Gravity is by comparison much weaker than them, but ultimately governs everything. So when we look at other planets, and I often like to bring up, the moon of Miranda, which is around Neptune, I think. I mean, that is a sphere. You accept that is a sphere, right?
No.
Okay, so what is the moon Miranda?
The moon Miranda?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you're talking about. What is the moon Miranda?
Yeah, Neptune has. Is there a Neptune in your universe?
Sure.
Okay.
As a planet?
And is Neptune a planet?
Yeah, it depends what you're describing.
It's not a cardboard cutout made by the conspiracy, right? I mean, it's an actual planet, right?
You mean like a physical planet that people can go to and stand on and walk on?
Is it a supernatural planet? Of course, it's a physical planet. Yes, is it a planet?
It's not. Of course, it's a physical. You're assuming that.
Is there another option?
Sure, it's a light in the sky. How about that?
A light in the sky.
Sure.
A light in the sky that has a polar aurora.
Sure.
A light in the sky can have a polar aurora.
I have no doubt that it does. Yeah, sure.
Okay, a light in the sky that's 70,000 miles across and spherical.
No, I wouldn't go that far. I never said that. I certainly don't believe.
So
that
describe this
are
light in the sky then, because what I'm saying is, a physical planet, and it has moons around it, several of them.
Okay.
You accept that planets exist.
Well, I want to ask first if you've seen that.
Yes.
You've seen moons around Neptune.
No, I've seen moons around Saturn.
Okay, but you just said Neptune.
Yes, I was talking about Neptune, but I've also seen the moons around. I've seen 2 of the moons around Saturn.
From a telescope?
Yes.
Jeranism is the one that didn't he photograph the transit of the ISS over the moon, the transit of the moon for the ISS? I'm sure he photographed it. And if he wants to decide whether Neptune is a light in the sky or not, all he needs to do is buy a freaking telescope. What a goon.
What telescope?
A very large telescope that one of my friends had. I could never get my own telescope. My own telescopes were never that big, but he had one of those ridiculous, broad, giant $4,000 things. And so, yes, I was able to see not only Saturn and its rings, but 2 of its moons.
Okay, I don't know if that's true, but I have not personally heard of anyone saying that they've seen Saturn's moons. But I myself have seen Jupiter's moons with a camera. So I know that's.
So you accept that there are planets.
That there are things in the sky, yes. That they're as big as they tell us.
And these things in the sky, are they large gas giant spheres?
No,
okay,
I don't believe
what
that.
are they?
I don't know. I mean,
I'm the sun.
Okay, so you don't know what they are, but you know what they're not.
Correct.
And how do you know what they're not?
Because what they had to do was teach us in a way that is, it's an indoctrinating way, that they took control of these, these books, these, textbooks. They put this in there, and they've called people who study them really closely and become proficient in those texts.
They, and he never mentions they. He never names these mythical they. Are they Men in Black? What they're doing, I don't know. Always they. They're lying to us. They're doing this. They're doing that. And he proves nothing. He shows evidence of absolutely nothing. Yeah, he did show evidence of Earth curve. Yes, he did. Don't work. Yeah.
They give them PhDs like Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's never been there. He's never been to anywhere in the universe.
You don't do any study of astronomy whatsoever. But
what do you mean? I look into it. What do you mean?
You look through a telescope once, but you don't do any astronomy whatsoever. You haven't mapped, you haven't charted the motions of these planets, which I'm sure you know was a huge problem for Kepler and others, right? The motions that these planets make and how to calculate them. You understand that was a problem, right?
They have the same data as from the Almagest. So to say that they were observing, or Copernicus was observing those things, is probably not the case.
They were just hallucinating?
They copied it. They copied the data.
So Kepler and others that were trying to chart these, and I forget what his name is now.
Tycho Brahe.
Yeah, Tycho Brahe. And when they compare their data right? And they're getting their own data and they're comparing to make sure that they get their figures right. They're just copying each other and they're just copying some older guy. They're making their own observations. You understand? They're making their own observations, right?
Their observations match identically to the Almagest, which was 1,500 years earlier. So no, I don't
Except
think
that they don't, because they're still trying to make their own observations of the motions of planets, including planets that hadn't been discovered yet, and have only since been discovered, only in the last 300 years or so. So now they're adding planets that weren't even on the charts before, and they're still marking their what?
Who added planets? Copernicus added planets?
Do you know nothing of history either?
I mean,
come on. I mean, when do you think that they discovered Pluto, for example? I mean, Pluto was discovered, what, 150 years ago, 200 years ago, something like that?
Okay, so I asked you about Copernicus, and you said he was adding planets that weren't there in the 1500 years.
I didn't say that Copernicus
was discovered in 1930, wasn't it? Definitely in the 1930s.
Himself was adding planets. I'm saying that the people doing the studies are discovering other planets that hadn't been discovered, like in ancient Greece or whatever. It wasn't the same data, because they only knew about what in 2,000 years ago, they only knew about like 4 planets.
But I said that they Copernicus and them copied from another text, Almagest, and then you said no, they didn't, because they added planets.
Was Pluto in Almagest?
Nope, and it wasn't in Copernicus's work either.
Then they weren't copying it.
Pluto weren't discovered.
That makes no sense.
If they discover a planet after Amalgus, then it couldn't have been there, right? And
so Copernicus's work did not include Pluto, and neither did the Almagest.
Okay. He wasn't saying that it did include that. What he's saying is that science since then have introduced
because
other
they're making
planets.
their own independent observations, and in so doing, they discover more than the original 4 planets. Now they have more.
Okay, sure, gotcha.
Yeah, Pluto 20th century, definitely. And I'm certain it was the 1930s. It was certain in the 1930s, and I'm pretty sure it was 1930. Pretty sure.
So, I mean, obviously they're not just copying each other.
Okay.
So how do you? I don't know where to go with this. The entirety of your argument can't be
getting confused
that you don't trust anything anybody says, and incredulity. You don't know, but you know it's not. You know more than the experts without knowing anything. That can't be your position.
Yeah, 1930.
Okay, well, my position is that these so-called experts are simply given that title because they read very carefully and are proficient in repeating what is in the textbooks.
Yeah.
Except when they make independent observations, as we've just established.
Okay, so they've made these independent observations of lights in the sky.
Okay,
right?
And these lights in the sky, for example, I mean, like, let's look at the confirmation of Einstein's relativity back in like 1911 or 1931, something like that, where relativity had predicted that you would be able to see a distortion during the eclipse. You'd be able to see stars that you shouldn't have been able to see otherwise, and they actually verified that in the 1930s. Or is that part of the Great Conspiracy too?
Well, have you verified that?
I wasn't there in 1931.
Okay, so you're going to trust.
But I was there less than a year ago, standing under a full solar eclipse in I think it's North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So if you'd like to go with that,
sure. Did you notice a temperature drop when you okay? So now when you watch a sunset and the sun sets behind the curvature of the Earth, as you might say, why is there no temperature drop?
There is.
No, there's not. It's been tested.
There is.
Okay, there's maybe half a degree.
This is what it does me about flat earthers. This absolutely does me. You trust science, you trust these scientists, you trust this and you trust that. Yeah, damn right I do. Damn right I do. And I have no qualms about that whatsoever. So, Jism, if you're watching, what would you rather have? If you suffered a bad accident, what would you rather have? A qualified doctor saving your life, or somebody who's watched a few YouTube videos? Which would you rather have, Jism? Which one? Answers on a postcard.
It depends on where you live. If you're in the desert, it drops immediately.
What a knobhead.
Okay, but how much? Because during an eclipse, it drops
quite a bit. I've lived in the desert. Real quick, if I may, if either you gentlemen think that you're being interrupted or have anything needing mod control, feel free to ask me or Kyle at any time. I'm just letting this have a free-form discussion between you two, and I figured either one of you can stop at any time and say, hey, can I get a little bit of mod control? Okay.
Yeah. Well, do
you know why the temperature drops in the desert so much? Is it because there's no radiative cooling going on? Is it because there's nothing stopping the heat from escaping? Is that why it's so cold in the desert? I don't know. I'm just surmising. I'd love to know.
To have a model, we can't. The argument can't just be that you don't trust anything anybody says, even
Yeah,
when
Steve,
even when I'm providing my
1930,
own
mate.
eyewitness accounts. It can't just be that. You have
Okay.
to have some kind of model that we can explore. So what is it?
Well, the model is that the Earth is a plane, and that
But
it is
it's a finite plane.
it's a finite plane. Yes,
Okay.
I don't know
In
where
which
it ends.
case, we then have to jump to the other
The
question.
model is the Earth is a plane. He doesn't know what a model is, does he? Does Jism? No, he doesn't. A model has got to have like predictive capabilities, doesn't it? You know, see, having a model, you've got to, show that it's workable. That's literally what a model is, isn't it?
Questions that I asked
Okay.
you about.
And I was going to answer that.
Okay.
So
well,
you asked earlier about what it was that made
Yeah.
me think that the Earth could be flat, and it started with being interested in looking into it and saying, well, you can't possibly fly around the Earth. I've flown around the world. My wife's gone east and gone all the way to Germany from the United States. I've gone west and gone to the Philippines. So I said, this clearly can't be the case. It cannot be flat. I tried to debunk it like everyone has. And then I looked into it and said, well, let me look at circumnavigation north-south. That was the first thing I wanted to see. So circumnavigation north-south, because it can't exist on this map that everyone shows, the FE map or the AE map. So when I went looking, I saw some guy. His name was ZQ Pilot. He's on Facebook. You can go look him up. He was going to set the record for the fastest plane journey, north-south circumnavigation. So he had his little plan lined up. I watched it live. Well, I didn't watch till he got to Brazil, but he flew from North Carolina to Brazil, and then he was supposed to go Brazil to New Zealand. He went Brazil to the 90-degree mark, turned around and went back to Brazil. Then went from Brazil to New Zealand to Alaska, to the North Pole, and back to North Carolina. So I said, oh, that's too bad. I guess he's not going to get the record. He certainly didn't circumnavigate. Look it up. He was given the record for circumnavigation, even though he went from Brazil to South Pole, turned around, came back and said the weather was too crazy over there. He couldn't go across the South Pole.
He went from Brazil to the South Pole. And where was his first position?
He started in North Carolina.
Started in North Carolina. And that doesn't qualify?
He went from North Carolina to Brazil, then Brazil to the South Pole, turned around and went back to Brazil, then went Brazil to Brazil to New Zealand, then New Zealand to Alaska, and Alaska to the North Pole. and back.
Were you expecting him to cross the pole?
Correct. That was his plan. His layout, his flight plan was to cross the South
so
Pole.
Because to do that, he had to zigzag, like going like top to, I hate to say it, but like top to bottom of the globe. He had to zigzag his way through, didn't he? And then come back around. But why would you want to do that anyway? Jism never mentions Ellen MacArthur, who went round and round around the South Pole, round and round Antarctica. Doesn't mention her.
The problem is that he didn't cross the South Pole, and so that means the South Pole doesn't exist?
Well, nobody's pretty much crossed the South Pole.
I mean, I know people who've been to Antarctica.
Okay.
Is that the problem?
No, Antarctica exists. You just cannot cross it. It's not a continent to cross.
Well, I mean, people have crossed it. They've got satellite photos and such, but I mean, it takes a
don't have
little bit
satellite
more than a
photos.
conventional plane.
Satellites stop before they get to the 90-degree
No, they
mark.
don't.
You can look at any data. It's all a circle around.
I have looked at any data. I've looked at lots of data that shows, full-on satellite images of the South Pole.
Satellite images of the South Pole.
Wow.
That's what you're saying. You've seen.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is
So you said you can look at any data. I've looked at any data. I've seen it.
I encourage people to do their own research. Do not trust me. Do not trust Aron. You need to go look at it.
And I encourage people to do their own research
Here
too.
we go.
I mean,
Here we go. I encourage people to do their own research. But here I am sitting here trying to convince everybody that the Earth is flat and that everybody's lying to me. But don't believe me. Go and do your own research. What a dishonest turd.
number of things that disprove what you're saying, and you're missing all the cues. You have to have a model. Remember, you have this flat plane, right? Now, we were talking about the other planets for a moment, and you said there are lights in the sky. What holds them up?
I don't know what they are. To say that there are lights in the sky would be like me making a statement
Would it be
that I
lights
know.
in the sky with different bands of colors and moons around them?
He
Are the
said
moon?
Neptune was a light in the sky, didn't he? He said Neptune was a light in the sky. How do, Charlie Welchie? How you doing?
moons also lights in the sky?
They assume to be. They look.
Are
to
they
be.
moons? Are the moons made of dirt?
I don't think so. No.
Is,
How would
is
you?
our moon made of dirt?
I don't think so. No.
What is our moon made of? Green? Is it green cheese?
Nope. I don't think it's cheese either.
Okay. What is the moon made of?
I don't know. I know no one's been there.
You'd know it's not dirt. How do you know it's not dirt?
This is what I hate about flat earthers and globe skeptics. I don't know what the moon's made of. I just know what it isn't. That has to be the most dishonest position to have. It must be. I don't know what it is, therefore I know what it isn't. How stupid.
I guess you can't say I know it's not dirt.
well.
I know no one's been there, so
I could
we
say
wouldn't
that
know
you
yet.
know you don't know that it's not a planet. That you don't know that it's not dirt. You don't
Correct.
know that it's not any of the things you say that you know it's not. Because
Spot
it in
on,
fact
Bob
is
Walker.
that.
Spot
And you
on.
can't just say, I don't know what it is, but I know what it's not. That's not a valid argument.
Okay, my argument is that no one's been there, so nobody knows what it is.
But somebody has been there.
Okay, and that's your position that
Demon!
you believe that in 1969 that we sent men to the moon. We did it 6
And then
times
we
with
set
12
up
people.
we set up mirror reflectors up there and still communicate back and forth to the moon that way, yes.
Okay, well they
And you
communicated
also
back-
see the moon at a different angle
Okay,
from the northern states than you do in the southern climes.
which would be the same thing on a flat model. Put a circle on top of your ceiling in your bedroom, mark an A on one
It
side
actually
and a B on
couldn't
the
do
other.
that because you can't see the North Star from Australia, where I've been, where I've seen the Southern Cross there, and you can't see the Southern Cross from the northern climes.
Yeah, those are too far. What are you talking about? What does that have to
Yeah,
do with
because
the zone?
they're only too far if the world is a globe. If it's flat, you'd still be able to see them.
That's not true. You
Why
can't.
not?
Okay, go
Is
into
the
a
sky a
bedroom.
dome?
No, but
Gee,
go into
give me
your
a
bedroom
logic,
and
Jay.
What is the
Yeah,
sky
yeah.
made of?
let
How
me
does the
answer your
sky
question first. If you're going to just keep asking questions, how am I going to answer them? If you look at the room that you're in right now, it's probably got an 8-foot ceiling. Imagine that room is 5 miles long. So you got 5 miles of room. If you had a light on top of that ceiling, after about 2 miles, it will converge
Yeah,
with
the
the
Chinese
floor.
have, yep.
You will not see the light anymore. So how can you say
No,
if there's
because it will never happen. That would not happen. Now,
What do you
if
mean?
you're talking about the curvature of the Earth in a 5-mile room, then that's something to take
Hang
into
on.
account.
To use Jism's analogy, so if you have a long corridor and you have a light bulb, I've got a light bulb up there. So if you've got a long corridor and I'm sat here now, I can see this. This is the moon here. The light bulb is the moon. So I've got the light bulb there, and then I move over to the other side and I see a different side. So that works on a globe, doesn't it? Because the moon, you can only see this one side of the moon. Oh, he's a dick. He's an absolute
No, but
dick, this fella.
If it is actually level, if this actually was a plane, there would never be a time where the sun disappeared below the horizon.
well, it doesn't really disappear below the
Exactly.
horizon. So that's where you're mistaken.
Okay, so like 3 days ago, I was on a plane flying back from Milwaukee, and the sun went down.
Did he just say what I think he just said? The sun never disappears below the horizon. Yeah, everybody observes this. And only Jism, for some unknown reason, doesn't see this. What a dick.
Before we landed.
The
And
sun went
noticed
away from you. Mhm.
The sun went, from our perspective, the sun goes down before we landed. So
Cheers, Cheeky.
at one point, we see the sunlight on the top of the clouds as well as on the plane.
Okay, well, actually, if you're in a plane,
Then
though,
the sun goes down to the point where the clouds are no longer lit. And we know that if we were on the ground, we would have called that sundown. The sun has gone down from the perspective of the ground. But me in a plane, 35,000 feet up, I'm still fully lit. I can still
you
see
still
the
see the
sun,
light, yeah.
even though the clouds below me cannot see the sun anymore.
Okay, so from a plane, from your position in a plane, then you do understand that the sun is stationary, right? So actually, the sun is not going down anywhere. It's
If
actually
the
the Earth.
heliocentric model is correct, then yes, the sun is stationary.
Okay, so then you're spinning, and the actual Earth spinning with its atmosphere is carrying your plane backwards to where that's what's causing the sunset.
Why would
That's
it be
what you
calling
believe.
backwards?
That's the way. That's the
There's
only
no
way.
such
that
thing
the
as
sun,
backwards in this case.
Here we go. How do you not understand what I'm saying? If you see the sun set,
Because you're not saying things that make sense. There's no such thing as backwards in this case.
okay, you're in a plane.
No.
Which window was the sun out of?
We were flying south, so the sun was out of the right window.
Okay, then if you watch the sunset, then you were being tipped with the Earth to the left, causing you to see the sunset.
So the entire plane of the Earth does this.
What?
The
I'm asking,
entire
this is
plane
in
of the
your
Earth
model. This is
tilts.
what you believe. This is what
No,
you
no, no.
believe. I don't.
Okay, I'm trying to find out what you believe. It's not what I believe.
Well,
It's what
yeah.
I follow the evidence. And I know that when it's sundown for me, I can talk to somebody, it's still in daylight. I can talk to somebody on the phone on the other side of the planet. They might be in the middle of the night. They might be in tomorrow.
Yep.
Because this is the way
Yeah.
a sphere works.
It's
This is
also
not the way a disc works.
It is the
A
way this
disc
works with
would
the
not
sun going
produce-
around the top of it.
But
sun
that
is a-
doesn't work.
But if the sun's going around the top of it, how can the sun set? How can like 99.99999% of the entire freaking population of the globe, including animals and including Venus flytraps, can see the sun setting below the horizon, and only Jism and a couple of flat Earth dipsticks don't see it? Don't get me started.
It
For the
does work.
reasons we've already explained, for the things that you can see in the sky in the southern climes when you're down close toward the Antarctic Circle.
Okay, if there's a northern star that's above the North Pole, then after you get to the equator, that star is now at the horizon. It's
Mhm.
dropped due to perspective. So if you go past the horizon,
90
you cannot
degrees.
see the North Star anymore.
Which on a
That's it.
disc, you would still be able to see it.
And I just said you would not be able to.
And I
based
know
on
that
the-
you mistakenly said that you would not be able to see it,
Jessica,
but yes, in fact,
very
you
true.
would be able to see it. If
Okay,
it were a disc, you would still be able to see it.
and I told you that in a bedroom where you had a light on top, you said that wouldn't happen on a flat plane.
That's
Have you
right.
ever looked? Have you ever looked at a long hallway like at a a hotel in Vegas?
Yes.
You look down that long hallway and the ceiling hits the floor, and that building is. I mean, how long is the hallway? A couple hundred feet.
And there would never be a time when the effect that you're talking about could ever happen, where the
What
light
effect
would
am I talking about?
disappear beneath the floor.
I never said anything.
So using this
disappeared.
thing, and the sun never sets, and it's always above your head. But we see the sun setting below the horizon. He doesn't, for some strange, ungodly reason. I haven't got a freaking clue why. So I don't understand what Jism's trying to say. I just don't get it at all.
Beneath the floor. I said
Well,
that
you
light
said
would
beneath the
become.
horizon in this case, which would be the floor in this case.
No, I told you that nothing goes below the horizon. The sun is never below your feet, Aron. Never.
Okay, so why is it that the sun appears to dip where you can't see it? Why would the sun be below my airplane?
Because it's further from you. That's how the perspective works.
But it's not how perspective works. When the ground no longer sees the sun, and I can, that's proof that it's a matter of angle. It's with a sphere. They can't see it because there's a curvature of the Earth in the way. I'm higher, so I can still see it. Just
That's the way a
verifying
plane.
the
That's the
curvature
way
of the
a
Earth.
plane would work. That's the way a plane would work. If you're talking about somebody who's 3
If
foot
it's on a
tall,
sphere, if we're flying over a sphere, if it were a flat disk, then the sensation you're talking about could never occur.
Okay, so if
the
you're-
sun
what
would
you're saying
always
If I'm on a beach, right, and I see the sun setting, and it's going below the horizon, something that Jism has never seen. Duh. So I see the sun set, and it goes below the horizon. Just after it goes below the horizon, I jump up and I see another sunset. You can do this with drones as well, can't you? You can set the drone to go higher. As soon as the sun sets, goes a bit higher, see another sunset. You can see multiple sunsets. What the frickin' hell has that got to do with perspective? Bugger all.
visible no matter how far away it was.
that's what you're thinking. But I'm trying to tell you
See
why.
you
it's
that
later,
is
not
what I
Steve.
know. Yes, that is what I'm
6464.
knowing, and that is where you're wrong.
Thanks for popping
So,
in, my
okay,
friend.
well,
Thank
Give
you.
me something
You-
else you're wrong about.
you
Let's
say
just
you-
change the subject,
The funny thing is, you're saying that you know these things, and you
Yeah.
don't know them. You just
I do
you
know
don't
them.
know them.
because I can demonstrate them, because I already have.
You can demonstrate what, that the Earth's a sphere.
Mm-hmm. And I gave you a number of ways to do that already, and I've got several more.
So despite your senses telling you the opposite,
My
have you ever
senses
felt?
don't tell me the opposite.
Oh, you feel like you're spinning? You feel like
No.
you're flying through space?
Because I'm in
No, I'm
the
asking you a
atmosphere.
question.
I'm part of the gravity and the momentum of the motion. Yes, so I would not, of course, feel that.
Well, there's no friction. So you wouldn't feel as though you were spinning, would you? There's absolutely no friction whatsoever because there's nothing in space. So you're not banging against anything. The Earth isn't resisting against anything. So no, there's no friction. So why would you feel anything?
The same as
atmosphere
the
moves
same as a
along.
fly in your car would not feel that it's going 80 miles an hour. Whether it takes off or goes forward or backward or lands, it's traveling with the atmosphere, so it's not going to notice the difference in speed that the car is going.
What if you open the windows?
But if you open the windows and take it out of that, then it's going to have a different relativity.
Then you've got
What
friction.
if it's still inside the car and the windows are open?
That depends on the disturbance inside the car. It depends on the car.
Okay, so if the atmosphere moves along with the Earth perfectly, then why is there such thing as the Coriolis force? What is causing the Coriolis force? What is causing the winds? We actually have trade winds.
Varying temperatures.
Okay, so that's what explains why we have
What's
the
causing
winds
the
down
winds?
south, that, around the
High
circumpolar
pressure going to low pressure. That's wind.
winds that are 250
Plus
miles
the crap
per hour
that's coming out of Jism's mouth.
in the same direction that the Earth spins. So the Earth is spinning 1,000 miles per hour to the east. The winds
But
go
it's
200.
irrelevant which speed the Earth is spinning, because
Okay.
the atmosphere is still going to be contained by the topography and then fueled only by the temperature in variant areas. So
then
with heat expanding in one
atmosphere-
place and contracting where it's colder, that's going to generate the motion of winds and currents.
Okay, and then
And it only works.
This is another thing that bugs me about flat earthers. What they say is the Earth spins at 1,000 miles an hour, just over 1,000 miles an hour, 1,049 miles an hour. No, it doesn't. You think that's fast? Really? Roadrunner travels at Roadrunner. He goes, I think, 1,048 miles per hour. So it's slightly slower than the speed of the Earth. So if he starts running around at the equator, he's never going to catch himself, is he? Meet.
On a sphere, it wouldn't work on a disk.
Well, how wouldn't it work on a disc? Where do you get that? Where would you come up with that fact? Have you seen a disc?
Because you
where
have
this-
to have a model first.
Okay,
and
so the
show me
model
that
is a disc
something on it
model.
works.
What do you
What?
mean show you that something on it works? You live on the disc.
I don't
That's
live on a disk. I live on a
Exactly,
globe,
Dr.
and I
Walker.
can prove
That's-
that.
That's
And
'cause
you don't
think that.
live on a disk either. You keep denying the realities to make up something else that isn't a fact.
It's not
So,
denying reality. It's being
Give
it's
me
being
the
smart
model.
enough to recognize.
So we have. How do we stay on the ground? Right. We would
Oh,
be
15
discussing gravity
degrees.
now. Right.
Okay.
So you don't think that the moon is a sphere, do you?
No, not in my opinion.
Okay. So is the moon a circle?
I don't know what the moon is. It could be a sphere.
The argument can't be that you know
he's
that
at it
it's.
again. He's at it again. I don't know what the moon is. I just know what it isn't. That's the most dishonest position to have. It really is. I can't stand it.
Not, but you don't know what it
Okay,
is.
are we
everything.
having a discussion, or are we having a debate where I'm taking a position? My thing was, and
I considered it an interrogation. I want to know.
Sure,
what
interrogate all you
position
want.
is.
And if I don't have the answer to something, I'm not going to make it up. I'm not
Then
going to
you-
I'm not going to
But you
pretend
did.
and make a. I'm not going to
You
make a
did
film.
exactly that. I
Chisholm,
don't
he's
know
not going to make something up. Yeah, give me a break.
what the moon is, therefore it's not a sphere. I don't know what the planets are, therefore they're not planets.
Well, when
And
somebody has to
everybody
lie,
who knows, because everyone who's studied carefully is all part of a vast conspiracy. I don't know that either, therefore I
never
know
said
it.
that. Never said that either.
Well,
Did I say
yeah, you
everybody
did.
was part of
You
a
said that
vast
everybody was
conspiracy?
copying everybody else's data, that nobody had any observations, but they do have observations.
I didn't say nobody had
No,
observations.
Jism, what you said was that everybody's lying to you and that you don't believe anything that anybody says and that Neptune is a light in the sky. These are things that you've said, Jism. Back up yourself, will you, man? Oh, and Matt Powell, if you're watching, debate. Yes?
You're very good at
You
putting
said that there
words
was a
in people's
book,
mouth.
one book, and everybody copied from it. Copernicus
Reverse
on.
flipology.
And so that
That's
nobody
their
could have
job at
discovered any
school.
new planets because they're all copying off this old book and nobody was making their own observations. Yes, you did in fact say that.
I said that about Copernicus, and I said that about Tycho Brahe, which is the case, and Kepler. They didn't
Which is
discover
not
any
the
planets,
case because they all made their own observations.
but their
and documented.
observations match identically to the Almagest.
Because
So, yeah, well, I'm just telling you that
on the
they even-
planets that exist, yes, but on the ones that were added later on,
So, if they're making observations and therefore making predictions based on the globe model, doesn't that confirm that the Earth is a globe? Come on, Jism.
just
Yeah. It has
Yeah,
nothing to do
later
with
on.
Copernicus. It has nothing to
and
do
then
with
we
Tycho
have
Brahe.
satellite images, which of course you're going to deny because that's all part of the
I'm not going to
conspiracy,
deny.
right?
They're definitely composites. I'll show you every one of them that they're all composites. There's not the
Okay,
only
so
picture.
there's just a massive hoax. Is that
yeah,
right?
I guess
But composite doesn't mean fake, does it? Let me see this. I have got Black Widow over my right shoulder. So if I take 3 different pictures from 3 different angles and then composite them together, doesn't make it fake, does it? And that is about as close as I'll ever get to Scarlett Johansson. Pity, because she would love me.
it's a massive
so-
hoax.
So these things
Absolutely.
exist. these, I mean, like Jupiter, it's like 88,000 miles
Doctor!
across with the red spot storm and all of the other storms and everything on that. How do you explain that?
It's a storm of gas.
Yeah.
Okay, where's your evidence of this? Do we have video evidence of this gas planet existing in its size and
Yes.
everything?
Yes.
Where is it? I wanna see it.
Video evidence.
Look it up online. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
I've looked it up. I see telescope images from
you
Earth.
Looked up video images of the red spot on Jupiter and were unable. Your Google foo was insufficient to find you the video images of the red spot on Jupiter.
No, I found it. It's video evidence of a telescope looking at Jupiter from
Exactly.
the Earth. Okay, so
So
what is
you
your
asked if
evidence
there
that
was
it's the
video
size
images.
that it is?
And there are video images.
What is your evidence that it
Exactly,
is the
dog
size
walker.
that we're
Exactly.
told? What is the evidence? What is the evidence that the moons are the size that we're told? I mean, this is what I'm trying to say is that I just
Even if
simply
the moons-
choose.
Even if the moons are smaller than our moon, which almost all of them, actually, I think all of them are
They are.
smaller than our moon, that still necessitates that the planets they are orbiting are such massively large things.
Okay,
Because
so
we wouldn't be able to hold them otherwise.
do you understand that mathematically I
Analog
could
video.
construct a whole map for you of my fake amusement park? I could get the correct distances, the correct sizes. I could
do
tell
that.
you the
Do that.
Okay.
Give me the model.
Yeah, in fact, analog TV. If you think about it, with all the with the things and with everything, and the pixels and everything, like millions, hundreds of thousands of pixels or what have you, all come together to make a picture. So yeah, that's composite as well. Doesn't mean that Coronation Street is fake. No, it just means it's crap.
Of
No,
your
I'm
fake
asking- let
world.
me-
Give me the disk and explain how gravity works
Okay, but
and explain what the
would you
planets
admit?
are.
Would
Give
you
me a
admit
model.
that I could do that? I could do
No.
that math.
No, I'm challenging you to do that, and you're not doing it.
I said of an amusement park. Can I? You don't
Now
think I
let's
can?
call that amusement park the flat disk of the Earth. Produce a model, mathematically, whatever. Produce the model and show me how gravity works. Show me what the planets are. Come up with an alternative reality that has some kind of defensibility to it.
Sure.
Not
Well-
just I don't know, therefore I know.
Well, gravity works because you weigh more than the air. The air cannot support you.
How can I weigh more if gravity doesn't work?
Because I just told you that
So gravity does work.
No, your mass is greater. It's too much for the earth for the air to support.
Okay.
However, the
So
air can support a
gravity,
helium
but
balloon.
this is a weight. So everything has an atomic weight to it.
Mass. Yes.
But you
Right.
have to have gravity to calculate weight, don't you? Or am I being stupid? Because gravity works different on the moon. It's 1/6. The gravity on there is 1/6 as it is on this planet. But your mass is still the same. But you weigh less. I think Jism is getting confused between mass and weight.
Atomic mass. Great. So that's what gravity is. Matter attracting matter.
No.
Right.
No. And where's the evidence of that?
Where's the evidence of matter attracting matter?
Where's the
Have you
evidence?
looked at the
Where's
moon?
the evidence?
Okay. Do you understand that you're just making all these assumptions? That's not part of science
It's not
to
an
say that.
assumption. You
Because
can look
you're
at the moon.
assuming-
You don't have to assume the moon. You can look at the moon.
Right, composite
And
video.
is the-
Right?
and the moon
And
is
you can look at
falling
the
to
moon
Earth?
with any decent telescope will show you the moon. It'll show you that it's made of dirt.
Okay. And the moon is falling to Earth.
What evidence do we have that the moon is falling to Earth?
That's what you guys claim. That's what the heliocentric claim is. Not my
No,
claim.
it is
away
not.
from the Earth.
Nowhere remotely. Having the sun at the center of the solar system has nothing to do with whether the moon is falling to the Earth. If
Okay,
things
that's-
establish an orbit because of their momentum, that's irrespective of the sun being in the center of the universe or center of the solar system.
Okay, so at the time of Newton said he saw an apple fall on his head. That's all a myth, of course, but his idea was that the moon is falling to the Earth, but it's just missing the Earth and remaining in this orbit.
In a sense, everything is in space is
An elliptical
falling,
orbit, he means, doesn't he?
Okay,
but you have momentum that is going into a centripetal motion because it's centered around another gravitational force. It's like
Okay.
you can stretch a sheet out and put a weight in the middle of the
Cavendish,
sheet,
yeah.
and then you can spin another ball around that. And this is kind of a simulation of the way gravity works. It's bending the fabric of space-time.
well, what is the fabric of space-time? Space is the absence of everything, and now you've just given it qualities that
But it's
allows
not
it to
an
be
absence
bent.
of everything.
Okay, then what is it?
There is a fabric of space-time.
What is it? What is it made of? Fabric of what?
He's just told you.
That's what it is.
Okay,
It's
so
fabric
you're
of
just doing the
space-time.
same thing. You're yelling at me and saying you're making up this
Not yelling
make-believe
at you.
stuff. You're making make-believe things. There's no fabric of space-time.
What is
Just
leather made of?
cows.
Well, leather is made of leather.
Yeah, the
It's
moon
It's
is
made of
moving
cow
away.
skin.
Yeah.
That's what it's made of.
Okay. The fabric of space-time is just the definition. It is the fabric of
Do you know what
space-time.
Kent Orvin says about it? Kent Orvin says the moon was a lot closer. He says that because the Earth is moving away, then the moon, millions and millions of years ago, would have to be a lot closer. I don't believe in the capture theory. I think something crashed into the Earth and then the moon got churfed out and then it got caught in the orbit and then it's been orbiting ever since. I don't believe in the capture theory anymore. I used to, but I don't anymore. But I do believe in this planet-sized thing crashing into the Earth and a big chunk snapping off, and that formed the moon. Because the moon's minerals are similar to Earth's minerals, so that would make sense. More sense than the capture theory, anyway.
That's what it is.
Okay.
And what it's made of is the thing that it is.
So what
they
is
don't
space?
have another word for it.
So space is the fabric of space-time? But there's
Yeah,
but it's the
it's not
absence
an
of
absolute
molecules.
fact.
But it's the absence of molecules, right? For the most part, it's not a perfect
Yeah,
vacuum, but it's very
part-
close.
Not a perfect vacuum. You're correct. So,
Okay.
do you accept that gravity is matter attracting matter because everything has an atomic mass?
No, because I
Okay.
don't see any
Then-
evidence of
then
anything
gravity
attracting.
doesn't- So you have an alternative to gravity. What is it?
You have mass, and things with mass obviously weigh more than what's
Yeah.
around them,
How
so
can
they
they
fall
weigh
down.
more? What makes them weigh more
Their mass makes them weigh more around the area
Compared
that
to
they're
what?
in, the atmosphere.
compared to what holds me to the Earth? Is it because matter attracts matter like gravity, or is
Because
it
the air
some
can't support
other
you.
thing?
The air cannot support you, but the air can
Okay.
support a helium
So now
balloon.
the air cannot support me because matter
So why
attracts
do
matter.
things fall down? This is the thing I had with Richie 50s in a side chat with somebody else's video. I can't remember the video now, but I had this thing with her, and she's quite bloody gorgeous, is Richie. But anyway, I had this chat with her in the side chat of a video of a live stream, and I kept asking her and kept asking her all the time. I said, where does the direction come from? Because she's on about this. Well, things fall down because they want to. I said, where does the direction come from? Where does the vector come from? And why don't things move sideways? Why don't they go up? Why don't they fall diagonally? Why do they always fall straight down? And she just couldn't give me an answer at all.
Matter, which means that gravity works,
Okay,
or matter
so-
does not attract matter, which means gravity does not work. Which
Okay,
is
Aron. So if what you're describing is true, then why does a helium balloon rise when it is made of mass? It has mass, and so
Mhm.
the Earth
And it
has mass.
less mass than the atmosphere around it.
Hold on a second. You said mass attracts mass. So there's mass. A helium balloon is a item of mass. The
Mhm.
Earth is mass. Why aren't those two things attracting each other?
They are. That's why the balloon doesn't fly off into space. However, heavier objects are going to crowd their way in ahead of it.
What?
The Earth is itself a massive ball of matter,
Okay.
which is going to exude a lot of pressure gravitationally on all
Oh,
other
jeez, I'm
things.
getting all confused there.
Oxygen and nitrogen and hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen at least, and CO2 and all of this are going to gather in ahead of your helium because the helium is lighter and so is the hydrogen by itself. So
Yes,
those things
Doctor, that has been my argument all the time. All the time. Right, if I put helium in a balloon, it'll rise. If I just blow it up, it'll just fall, won't it? But Jism seems to forget that you need gravity to create buoyancy. Air pressure and all the rest of it. He seems to forget these things. If a helium balloon could survive in space, and just as a for instance, if a helium balloon could survive in space without busting or ripping or what have you, if it could, it'd just stay there. So I don't know where he gets this claptrap from.
to be on.
Sorry about my chair
outside.
squeaking.
Okay.
Now that's on the sphere. That's in the reality. Now what about in the
Hold on a
disk world?
second. You still haven't described. You have two things of mass, and mass attracts. So
Right.
why isn't it attracting the helium balloon?
It is. I
Okay,
say
but
a
It's
second
not. It's
time.
moving away from it. So
It
you
is.
have
and
attractions
for a
that move
third
away.
time, I will explain because the
Yeah, you
helium,
can explain.
Which
the
way is
helium
attraction,
going?
weighs
Matt-
less. The helium weighs less than the
Yes.
oxygen and the CO2 and everything
that's
around it,
that's
which means
that's
that
what
those
you've
other
been-
things are going to crowd in and front of it, which is why that's going to go higher.
I've asked
That's why.
Phuket Word this question. I asked it him for months on Twitter. Every time he posted something, and it got retweeted, I'd always ask him which way is down, and then he'd come out with some strawman crap, and then eventually he'd just ignore me. And every single time I saw one of his tweets, I'd say, which way is down? And then he posted a video which implied that south is down and north is up and all the rest of it. What a dick. I'm going to have to cover him again, one of my videos.
We're on the bottom, and the helium is lighter than us because there is less mass.
Mm-hmm.
So the air cannot support us, but the air can support it. And that's because gravity works. But in your situation, you've got a whole other thing because you don't have the ball of, of liquid metal and all of that creates all this gravity that holds all these things down. You have a disk, which can't work that way. So gravity can't work in your situation, which means you have to come up with an alternative model.
Well, it is the majority of mass, but I don't believe in the gravity that makes things spheres. No.
What kind of gravity do you believe in?
Well, if you want to talk about the fact that things have a tendency to fall down, my only thing there is that it's not necessarily. People say, why is down a preferred? Well, why isn't down up? Well, because if it was up, then up would be down. So I mean, it's not a preferred direction. It's just simply the direction that we call down, which is where things with mass that can't be supported by the medium that they're in. That's why things in the ocean can float like a tennis ball, because the ocean can support the tennis ball, but it can't support the rock. The rock has the mass that causes it and the density that causes it to sink. So
why does it sink? Why does a rock sink? Why does it go down? Why does it not go up? Surely the tennis ball will go up. If the sea can't support a tennis ball, or it can support a tennis ball, why is that tennis ball not floating up? These are questions that flirfs need to answer, and they've got no answer for it because flirfs are dumb. There, I've said it.
Where I draw a line is when you're talking about the gravitational pull of the moon, or that the Earth puts this gravitational pull on the moon does the Earth, and the tides are because of the moon. All this
Big
stuff.
round of claps for Cheshire Cat. Big round of claps. Well done. Well done.
Is
It's a badge of honour that being blocked by a
not
flirf.
supported by the kind of evidence that would be required
Well,
to be
that
calling it
actually
truth.
is. What do you mean it's not supported by the evidence? It is the evidence of a globe.
Okay,
So,
so
you're telling me that the moon is not orbiting the Earth. So we have this massive
going above the
2,000
Earth.
mile,
Walker.
we have
Why
this
do helium's
2,000 mile
balloon-
diameter ball
why
of dirt
heliums-
that you say is
helium
not a
balloons fall
ball, that
down
you say
in
is
the
a
vacuum
light,
chamber?
but it's a light that's
Why?
made of dirt and
Why
only
down?
reflects the sun, so it's not a light, but it doesn't fall either. So what kind of gravity do you
Why do
believe in
ships
that
fall?
it has an object that it wouldn't fall if it's orbiting, but you say it's not orbiting, so why isn't it falling?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily made of mass. I don't think it's something that you would consider things like
Was
on the
the
Earth.
moon supernatural now?
No, I didn't say anything about it being supernatural.
It's not made of mass, but everything has mass. Everything has mass. Ah! He didn't just say that, did he? Come on, he didn't. He didn't, did he?
Well, but
He
it,
didn't. I didn't hear that.
Well, then how can it not
I'm
be
not
made of
rewinding
mass?
oh, is the light supernatural?
It's
Is light in your bedroom
Junior!
supernatural? Because it's
Yay!
not
So
made of
you're
mass.
saying that you can? We know that there's a dark side of the moon. We know that when we only see
We don't know
a half
that.
moon,
You don't know that. You're just
glad
you
you made
trust
it.
Well,
man.
actually,
Glad you
no,
made
we
it.
do know that because we see it every month. So when you can
We see it. When do we see it?
when you have a new moon, for example, you only
Sorry,
see a
that's the
sliver
same-
of it. We
Same
know that
side of
there's
the moon.
what?
It's the same side of the moon that you see when it's
Yes,
full
I
moon.
know, and it's in the dark, so you can't see the part that's not lit. Well, you can with a good telescope. You can still see even the part that's not lit. So we know
That's
that
not
there's
true.
dirt
You're
there,
making statements
and
that
it's
are not
not a
true.
light.
Okay,
What?
that's not true. You cannot. No one's ever seen the moon during a new moon.
I have.
Okay, then you broke the record.
Everybody has.
Sure,
When
yeah.
you
There's
see
a
new
record.
moon- When
There's
you
a
see a new
record.
moon, you can still see the rest of the moon.
Okay, there's a record that's like 40 hours. The first
You
person
can
who
see
took an
you
image
can see a faint. If he's talking about the new moon, you can see like a faint outline of it, can't you? I've seen it.
of the moon after a new moon, you're just claiming to have beaten that by 40 hours. Congratulations. Aron.
Everybody can see it. Wait till there's a new moon. You can see it. You can still see the darkened shadow of the moon.
Impossible, but that's great.
It's not
to think
impossible. Everybody can do it. You can do it every month.
of. Sure, then everybody go out and do it, and then also remember.
And
all of
everybody does it. And everybody
I'll
has
catch up
done
with
it
that.
forever.
Okay, great.
So
all
we
your,
know
all your
that the moon
statements-
I've
is.
been watching a couple of your videos actually, Mr. Atheist Junior. Yeah, I'll give that a watch later on then. I'll give your stream a watch. Yes, Doctor, you are a moderator. And I should make Atheist Junior a moderator, actually. There we go.
Not a light, because when we can see the part of the light that's reflecting the sun, we can see also that there's a rest of the sphere that is not lit because it's not a light, which means it's made of something and it's not supernatural. It's not made of photons. It's made of substance. Therefore, the substance has mass. So why doesn't the mass come crashing down?
I don't know. You tell me.
It's your model.
Oh.
You're supposed to justify it.
I don't
and
know.
so far, you
Hey,
haven't done
here's the
anything.
thing.
All you said, okay.
Great. You're just playing by your rules and saying the moon is this big and it's this wide, and then
How
you
am I
want me to
playing by my
explain how that
rules?
works. Hold on, because I'm trying to explain it to you.
You don't even know what my
Hey,
rules
thanks,
are.
Atheist Junior. If that offer's still on for me to jump on your channel and we'll go through one of Powell's videos, I'm still up for that anytime you want. Yeah. There we go. Is an eclipse us seeing the dark side of the sun? No, an eclipse is just an eclipse, isn't it?
You just said that the moon is 2,000 miles in diameter, and I don't believe that. So then for me to explain to you how the 2,000-mile diameter moon stays above the Earth is ridiculous to me. It's hilarious.
Then tell me what the reality is and show me how we know that to be the reality.
The reality is I don't know what the moon is.
So the whole argument is incredulity. I don't
Sure.
know, therefore I know.
I don't know what the moon is. I just know what it isn't. Right, okay. I don't know. This will be the Kent Ovind or a Matt Powell thing. I don't know how monkeys got from Africa to South America. I just know how they didn't do it, and that's they didn't serve. I don't know how the dinosaurs died out. I just think they died out by farting. Stupid. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Young Earth creationists, and you got flat earthers. And I think flat earthers are coming up to the level as stupid as the same as young Earth creationists, actually. They're all tossers. Oh, I forgot press play.
Sure, if you're asking
You don't
somebody,
know what a planet is, but you know what it isn't. You don't know what the moon is, but you know what it is. You know it's made of light, or you know it doesn't have mass, even though you know that there is mass because you can see it. Yeah, so you know that the evidence.
I've asked him, Atheist Junior. Well, I'm going to do a short video later on and then post it tomorrow, asking him for a debate. I keep asking him. I asked him on my last video. I asked him, let's debate. But did you see? In fact, I'm sorry for the rest of the chat. I'm sorry, viewers. I'm just going to pause that a second while I get this video up of Matt Powell's. I just want his channel up. Powell. Yep, Powell. There we go. Do you not find it weird that Matt Powell's subscriber count seems to go up at the same time as Kent Hovind's? I find that weird. Anyway, right, he's got a video up. Atheists. Matt Powell, he's got a video up called Atheists Licking Their Wounds on Video After Getting Utterly Trounced by Matt Powell on Debates. I'm in this video. He features me in this video. Where are we? There we go. He features me in that video. But me and Powell have never had a debate, and yet he's saying he trounced me in a debate. What a dick. Anyway. He's a twat anyway. Hate the man.
Globe is actually a distortion
I'm
of
gonna get
the
it- I'm gonna
atmosphere.
get it set
You
up
don't have an
anyway, if you
explanation
do
for
that.
how the sun goes below the horizon because you think that would be a vanishing perspective, which it absolutely could not be under any circumstances. How do you can't explain anything because you don't have a model. You got nothing. I mean,
Well,
literally nothing.
it's
And this
rough
leads
because
this is why I say that no rational
Matt Powell.
person, no intelligent person can honestly believe that the earth is flat. That I think you're a hoax, and I think most of the people promoting the flat earth are a hoax. You cannot honestly
do you know,
believe
Junior,
that.
it
no,
doesn't
not when
surprise
you're
me in the
taught the way
slightest.
everything
What a
operates in
lying
your
turd.
magical world of spinning spheres.
Mine
and
is not
space.
the world that is magical.
Your
I'm
world-
not the
so
one where
let's get this
math
straight.
magically does not fall down.
Let's get this straight
Do you know,
though. You believe
if you become a channel member, let me get the chat thing back up. If you become a channel member, you can have one of these as an emoji. A little Matt Powell thing there. There we go. Where is it? Where is it? There we go. A little Matt Powell thing there. Powell Jr. last night. Yeah, he is dumb. Yeah, he is very, very dumb. Have you seen his sermon? It is Matt Powell's sermon. I was going to cover it tonight, but I've done with Matt Powell, to be honest. But his sermon is the most misogynistic, old-fashioned, backward sermon or backward piece of crap that you've ever seen in your entire life. Ever seen. God almighty. Yes, he's breeding, I'm afraid. Yes, he is.
You are on a giant rock, a spherical rock that has water attached to the outside of it, number one. Number two, you think that's
we
spinning.
know that because gravity is
sure.
the central force that pulls all the water to it, that of course the water would stay on it and not fall off because there's not another place for the water to go. There would have to, in order for the water to leave, there would have to be another thing of greater gravity to pull the water off of it. We know that that doesn't exist in close proximity, so it's not going to happen.
Thanks for becoming a member, Doctor.
That's what you believe. But you have no evidence
what
of that. I asked you for what your evidence that happens, that takes place.
And I gave you some of that evidence and you rejected it. And I still have more I can give you.
The water
but I
is
need to
attracted
have
to the center?
a model so that we can work with. It can't just be that you don't know what you're talking about and therefore you're better than the experts. That can't be it.
Nobody ever said I'm better than the experts.
If you honestly
Nobody ever said that.
If you honestly don't have a model and the best you can do is say you don't know and therefore you're smarter than everybody who does know, then I think we're done.
Wow. How many strawmans can you build in one conversation? How many straw? Is that how you get up? Is that how you get over on all these Christians? Is you just strawman them to death? That's what you.
I don't strawman them at all, and I haven't strawman you.
Oh boy, you've just put 10 things into my mouth. I never said I was smarter than anybody.
10 things in your mouth.
When did I say? So tell me when I said I was smarter than everybody.
You somehow know.
You just claimed that in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah,
twice.
you said that all the history that I learned is wrong. And all the observations I've made are wrong. And all the observations that Brahe and all of the other astronomers have made are wrong, both in the historic ones and the current ones.
That doesn't make me smart.
Jism also said to Aron earlier on that he was being lied to.
That doesn't make me smarter. Who bases things off that?
I didn't say that you were smarter.
But
you somehow know more than the experts. Or you know
Inmate number
something.
0645 2017. I know enough by out as well.
The experts don't want anyone else to know. And that's how you opened this up.
Okay,
I'm going to close out the show in about 5 minutes, if that's okay with everybody. Mrs. Jones has just turned up, and I promised. I bought her a Big Daddy steak, and I promised to cook it for her. So, yes. I need to cook it for her. Plus, I need a wee. Plus, I need a beer. And plus, I need a fag.
On it. They don't know any different than you or I.
On what?
Obviously, there is a group, and I don't know who they are, if you're going to ask me who they are, but obviously there is somebody that has had to hide this fact from the world. And
okay, first of all, we need a fact. We need a fact. And you haven't given me a fact yet. And then we need evidence that somebody has hidden said fact. And then in order for something to be obvious, it must first be apparent. So we have to have some apparency in order for it to be obvious. So I'm saying that obviously there's no conspiracy because the fact is that we have all the evidence for the spherical Earth, and you've got absolutely nothing except that you don't know, therefore you know.
If there's a conspiracy, do you think that the people who conspired on this
I
conspiracy?
don't think Powell's been to prison, but I'm pretty sure he will do. I mean, if you listen to the hate speech that's coming out of his mouth at the minute, then yeah. I will say aye to Mrs. Jones, yeah, I will do. I'm going to close it out in a couple of minutes. Okay.
See, would ever put things in place to protect themselves?
We'll
or do you think
come
they
back
would?
to this,
Maybe
so
they did that. Maybe somebody with a whole bunch of hydraulic jacks lowered that mountain down in Iceland and waited for me to drive toward it and just jacked it up ever so slowly to create that illusion.
Do you believe in any conspiracies? Do you think that
somebody with a large flying saucer, maybe the alien reptiles who are in control of the Illuminati flew their flying saucer in front of the sun to create the illusion of a solar eclipse or lunar.
You don't strawman people at all. You're right.
I don't.
How dare I even accuse you
You
of
should
such?
understand what a straw man is before you accuse somebody of something.
I know what it is. It's every time you've put in an argument into place that is completely fallacious. I never said anything about alien reptoids.
And then said
or
it was
anything.
your
That's not
argument,
straw
and I never said those were your arguments.
Okay, so you're
So
just using that.
I'm coming up with hypothetical situations, and I'm begging you to try to explain them. I need a
He
model
will
from
love prison.
you, and it
And the
can't be,
inmates
I don't know what
will
it
love
is,
power.
therefore I know what it is.
Okay.
That can't be it.
And I'm trying to tell you, if you were lied to about something, then in order to prove that you were lied to, you're saying that you need to have the complete and total truth, not just evidence that you've been lied to.
No,
This is what you're saying.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
You're
But
saying I need to have
just
a model.
need evidence. In
You're
order
saying I
to
need
show
to
that
have a
someone's
model.
lying, I need to show, one, that what they said is wrong, start with. Two, that they knew it was wrong when they said it. Now, that's the harder challenge, but I can do it. Whenever I accuse somebody of lying, I make sure that I can do the second part. I have to do the first part first. And then in order to make it a lie, I have to show the second part, that they knew it was wrong when they said it.
Okay, and
No,
the
they
difference
don't
between you and I is
understand
that you believe what men tell you about, like the moon. You think
Except that I can show.
you can show that we've been to the
Right.
moon. How are you going to show me that?
Well, I've seen rockets. I've visited rockets. I've worked with rockets.
Okay.
I was around the whole time. What are you going to tell me? I just talked to the guy who said he didn't believe in science. Another flat earther like yourself.
Right, I'm being shouted at, so I'm I'm going to close out the stream. Thank you everybody that's watched, commented, everything like that. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Doctor, for becoming a member. Does mean a lot to me. What I will be doing with memberships and everything, I'll be using that money to buy better equipment so I can do better videos, etc, etc, etc. So thank you everybody that's shown up. Please don't forget to like it and share it and comment, and if you're not subscribed, subscribe already, please. That would be fantastic. Don't have enough patience and crayons. Thanks everybody for turning up. George, Dog Walker, Doctor, Steve Martin, Steve 6464. Who else? Cheshire Cat. Cheshire Cat turned up as well. Thank you all. Let me see if I've missed anybody. George, thank you for turning up. Atheist Junior, massive shout out to you, my friend. Doctor, yeah, Atheist Junior. Turtle Moose, thank you for popping in. Thank you. Who else popped in? Jin XYU, thank you for popping in as well. I think that's pretty much everything, everyone. Smashing. Right, so don't forget to join me on the next one, which will be this Sunday, 8 p.m. for a Sunday Stupid, and then join me again next Wednesday for a Wacky Wednesday video. Alrighty, everybody. I'll see you very, very soon. Take care, especially in this windy country that we have. And I'll see you very soon.